Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's show. This is Molly McCord. Thank you for joining me. This is the Monday podcast where we talk about a specialized astrology topic, including healing themes and the bigger energies that are affecting us at this time. Today is August 12th, 2019, and in the week ahead, we have a very special energy called a Venus star point that's occurring. And I wanted to share more with you about this energy cycle, what it involves, what it includes, and what it means, of course, for you specifically. The Venus star point is one of the unique journeys of Venus in the cosmos. It's one of her unique rhythms and cycles and how she's in harmony with the bigger orchestration of energies. So we're going to dive into this, and I hope it helps you understand some of your own cycles in your life and in your chart. Before we get started, I'd like to welcome everyone who is new to this podcast. Thank you for joining me. I have been investigating astrology for 30 years now, and I've been a professional astrologer for over 10 years. And I love astrology in a way that was a growing passion throughout my life, and I love sharing that with other people who are also passionate and interested in this really fascinating study. You know, astrology is sort of like understanding the bigger weather systems, the bigger energy systems, what we feel and experience in our human lives. And it's really fascinating over the last 30 years how much has been verified through astrology, how much it has been a very accurate indicator of themes, cycles, experiences, life phases. It's truly an amazing art and science to understand and work with. So every show, I hope, brings you greater understanding of your own life, your own energy, your own experiences, and also reminds you of the bigger picture of it all, the bigger energy systems that we're all connected with. Now, on my YouTube channel, I have for you a playlist that talks about significant transits in your life at each decade of your life. So, for example, in your 20s, you experience significant transits that everybody goes through. Same in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. Everyone has these transits. And so, for example, in your 20s, you would experience your Jupiter return, but you also experience your Chiron opposition, and you have some strong Uranus energy, and then you end your 20s with your Saturn return. In your 40s and 50s and 60s, you also have significant transits. So when you understand some of the big themes that we all go through, the astrological milestones, if you will, or the benchmarks that are defining you, you get a heads up on what's going on in your world and what you can look at as an opportunity, what you can look at as a time to grow, to raise consciousness, and to understand the bigger picture. So please check out that playlist. It's called Significant Transits in Your Lifetimes, and it's 6 different videos starting at age 7. Because for all of us at the age of 7, we have our first Saturn squaring Saturn. And that can be something significant for you around the Saturn themes of life, such as your father, such as a responsibility, such as something you have to do alone or go through alone. So check out all these videos because you might have some aha moments about what your life transits have been and how they have shown up for you. They always relate to the house and astrological signs involved, and that's where it gets much more specialized for each person. So I just wanted to toss that out there as a reminder that there's a lot of resources for you on my YouTube channel about going into your astrology chart even more. Now let's dive into today's topic about Venus star points and how this pertains to divine feminine cycles and power themes. The Venus star point is this very cool phenomenon where the Sun and Venus are conjunct together every 9 months. And through the rhythm and cycle of Venus's transits, I mean, the timing of her cycle, the timing of how she moves through the zodiac, She only aligns with the sun in 5 astrological signs. So she aligns with the sun in Aries, Gemini, Leo, Scorpio, and Capricorn. Those are the 5 astrological signs where Venus and the sun are conjunct. And it's this beautiful, again, rhythm of energies that sync up. And what I find really fascinating is that these 5 astrological signs are not the signs of Venus's rulership or where she's exalted. So Venus is strong in Taurus and Libra, and she's exalted in Pisces. So those 3 signs are her home turf, her home terrain, where she is very comfortable. When she aligns in this Venus star point with the sun, it happens in Aries, which is a sign of her detriment, and Scorpio, a sign of her detriment, Gemini, where she can be scattered, Leo, she can be strong in Leo, masculine Leo, and Capricorn, which is also a place that she's not at her strongest point. Aries, Gemini, and Leo are all masculine energies. Scorpio and Capricorn are feminine. Venus meets up with the sun in these 5 astrological signs, and she gets the support of the sun. She gets the sun's strength, power, light, focus, energy. And it gives Venus that push of, yes, you can. This is how to make this part of your energy field come alive. This is how the Venusian energies of love, relationships, money, friendships with women, your sense of self-love, your sense of self-acceptance, your ability to create relationships that work for you, your personal value systems, connecting with what you want because you know you're worth it, the receptive energies of Venus, also beauty, what you create, what you make. Venus rules a lot of areas of our life. When she lines up with the sun, she is strengthened. And of course, that energy is different in each of these 5 astrological signs. So the energy has a different signature when it's in the masculine signs, Aries, Gemini, Leo, and a different energy when it's in the Scorpio and Capricorn energies, which are feminine. So Venus is embarking on an important energy during the middle of August 2019. And the exact Venus star point is in Leo. It actually connects August 13th or 14th, depending on your location on the planet, at 21/22 degrees of Leo. 21 and 22 degrees of Leo. And this is a time of strengthening the Venus in Leo desires, a sense of who you are, confidence in yourself, what you want, what you're here to create, to shine, to share, those Leo energies of feeling strong in your light, feeling strong in your creation energy. Leo is about taking a risk, having the courage to take a risk to be yourself. And so the sun in Leo is a very masculine energy. So we have this alignment of Venus, the feminine, and the sun, the masculine, together. There's an integration. There's an integration of the two. And it's a powerful infusion of what's in your heart. What's in your heart. So you're going to look in your chart at 21, 22 degrees of Leo, and you're going to look at the house placement, as well as if at 21 or 22 degrees of Leo, there are any trines to other fire signs, sextiles to any air signs. There would be an opposition to Aquarius. There could also be a square to Taurus and Scorpio at 21 or 22 degrees. Okay, so this is a powerful point of energy. And the sun is always powerful, of course, but with Venus here, it adds this feminine filter of what you want, what you could feel ready to receive, and also what you're ready to put out into the world, to shine your light, to shine who you are with a higher level of confidence. So it's a strong activation energy. And the Venus star point happens every 9 months, as I said, and you think about the 9-month cycle, where, of course, 9 months would be a pregnancy, right? And 9 months is when we allow something to develop and grow. The last time we had a Venus star point was in October 2018. It was actually October 26th. Venus was at 3 degrees of Scorpio, retrograde. So the last Venus star point at 3 degrees of Scorpio was a time of working through fears, limitations, deeper emotional energy signatures. That's quite an intense energy, because oftentimes Venus and Scorpio will show us where we have an unconscious energy first that needs to be transformed. That shows up as a fear. That shows up as an emotional reaction, feeling that something is outside of you, because Venus is not at her strongest in Scorpio. She's not on her home turf. So last October, we had that Venus retrograde where she was in Scorpio for nearly 4 months, and something was reworked in you intensely, deeply, permanently transformed. And you could have seen where you had given your power away, where you weren't honoring what you really feel, where you weren't aware of what was in your heart. The Scorpio energy can show up as a loss. You lose something only for it to be gained and returned in another form. And that, of course, is the process of metamorphosis. That is the caterpillar turning into the butterfly. But that time in the cocoon can be very tumultuous and intense and uncomfortable, and you know you're not going to stay there. So it has this angst or turmoil with it. So when Venus and the Sun were together in Scorpio, it really showed us where we were leaving behind certain fears and areas of consciousness that we were meant to let go of so that something can come back in a higher form. So that was 9 months ago. So here we are, 9 months later, where Venus is strong in Leo, again conjunct the Sun, and she's saying, now what do you really, really want? Every time I say that, I think of the Spice Girls lyrics. Tell me what you want, what you really, really want. And that's the Leo of this is who I am, but this is who I am. So you understand something new about who you are right now, and especially related to the feminine energies of which we all hold, whether you are masculine or feminine in your gender, you possess the feminine energies, and this is a strengthening of what you want, perhaps what you're ready to go for, where you're ready to recognize the truth of who you are. And one of the best things about astrology, in my opinion, is that it shows you how you are an individual, how you are different, how you are your own energy entity. And this is where so many of us have gravitated towards understanding who we are. It's sort of like you are the only one who can do it. It's a understanding of the individual journey, you have to go through things that only you understand, that only you have been through, that only you know. Okay, the line cut me off. I'm back now. And as I was saying, astrology shows you how you are your own person, how you are your own individual. And it's by going through this understanding of self that you develop self-mastery, that you understand how you're different, how you're unique, what your gifts are. And that's something that nobody else can tell you. It's something that we discover, we earn, we have experiences, and we also raise our consciousness through this information. And so what we're looking at here is a truer understanding of who you are, what matters to you, what you feel strongly about yourself, and there's a sense of power here, and the power comes from a love of self. So the Venus star point is an alignment with a love of self that's being reactivated. A love of self, a self-acceptance, an understanding that you are stronger than you know. It's very normal for us to forget how strong we are, to not see it, to allow things to be shifted and altered, and we forget the strength that we inherently possess. And this is a reminder as well of how you are loved. And that's another thing with this alignment, is that the Venus and Sun alignment together is an activation of divine love from the Sun's energy source, those neutrinos, those solar flares, the powerful bursts of energy from the Sun, and how that infuses us to keep going, to recreate, to remain open and playful and alive with life, to feel invigorated by energies bigger than ourselves. So this is a very energizing time with this Venus star point especially. And it's showing you more of who you are now that maybe you didn't recognize. Again, look in your chart at where 21, 22 degrees of Leo is for the house. And that's where this energy is really being lit up. And the Venus qualities here that I'm feeling so strongly is this ability to take command of your energy in a new way, in a fuller way. To look at where you gave anything to other people, whether that was power, energy, ideas, any kind of projection, anything that you put out that you're meant to claim back, that you're meant to fully integrate within yourself in a place of self-love. This is an energy of you're receiving from self, is how I hear it, receiving from spirit, receiving from soul, receiving from the sun. This energy has a lot of masculine qualities in it because it's in Leo, and the sun is so strong in Leo. And so Venus in Leo has a more masculine energy to it, but Venus is typically about receiving. So that's where this integration happens of the knowingness of what you're meant to initiate and take forward, but where you're also reminding yourself that you're, of course, connected to bigger energy fields that are giving you energy too. Okay, so it's a bit like the powerful initiation energy, the powerful starting, creating, going for it, and making something happen is extra strong with this Venus star point. And then the trusting in what you can't control is also paramount. So we have a big burst of energy here. with this particular Venus star point, which makes it different than the one back in October because that was a much more emotional, receptive energy. And this is like activate power energy, activate creation, activate what you're ready to bring out into the world. And keep in mind, because the Venus star point has a 9-month cycle, whatever you initiate now might be exceptionally strong in 9 months when there is the next Venus star point, and that will happen June 3rd, 2020 in Gemini at 13 degrees of Gemini. And in fact, Venus will be retrograde, I believe, during that Venus star point. So this is an important time of really going for what is in your heart, what is a desire, what is a passion. That can be a passion project, something creative, something new that's bubbling up, something that you felt you didn't have energy for or time for. It might gain a lot of energy and time over the next week during this middle time in August. So Venus star points have multiple cycles. As I said, they have the 9-month cycle between when the Venus star points happen, and then they also operate on 4-year and 8-year cycles. So now we're going to go back in time to 4 years ago, okay? August 15th, 2015, there was a Venus star point at 22 degrees of Leo, okay? 22 degrees of Leo, August 2015. So what happened for you in August 2015? Now keep in mind, August 2015, we also had Jupiter in Leo, and we had Mars in Leo. So there was a strong Leo energy 4 years ago. And you're going to probably notice some themes here about your sense of power, okay? That Leo power, that Leo sense of what you created or made in August 2015, and now we're revisiting it 4 years later. 4 years later. And then let's go back 8 years to August 16th, 2011, and we had another Venus star point that was at 23 degrees of Leo. So you can see how it's the same point in your chart that's being activated with each of these current Leo Venus star points, right? Because this year it's at 21 degrees of Leo. In 2015, it was at 22 degrees of Leo. And in 2011, it was at 23 degrees of Leo. So you've had some themes showing up here about your power and your Leo energies in this part of your chart. And it's been happening, it gets activated every 4 years. And then you go back even further to August 2007, 24 degrees of Leo. And then you go back, you get the cycle here, and then August 2003, 25 degrees of Leo. So there's something here in your chart through this third decan of Leo that has been developing, growing, raising your sense of self, raising your understanding of your creative abilities, raising your understanding of the feminine energies, raising your consciousness about yourself, something you've been working with every 4 years that is designed to show you more of yourself and more of what you're here to offer through those Leo talents. And then going into the future, August 2023, in 4 years, there will be another Venus star point at 20 degrees of Leo, and so on it goes through the calendar. But I want to call your attention to August every 4 years and look at what those themes are for you in the Leo areas of your chart. Now, as I've been learning astrology through the years, I've come across many different books on different topics, different areas of understanding. I mean, once you dive into astrology, it just gets really wide. You know, there's all these different directions you can go and understandings and all kinds of topics to go into. And so it was about 10 years ago that I found this book called Venus, Her Cycles, Symbols, and Myths. And it's written by Anne Macy. And I remember, 10 years ago finding this book and just being so enraptured with the energy of Venus and everything that is involved with Venus that I had no idea about. So I'm referencing this book because, first of all, there are so many great astrologers out there that I really believe it's important to give credit where credit is due. There are many who've been doing astrology for decades and who have researched and done intense investigations, of course, client work. And one of the cool things about the astrology community is that it is communal knowledge, and you share it and you give it to others to understand and to work with. And I really respect anyone who's done any kind of deep dive on a specific astrological topic. So this book, Venus, by Anne Macy, Massey, is a great one to have on hand if you have strong Venus in your chart, if Venus is one of your ruling planets, if you want to learn more about Venus, and if you want to understand more about the sacred geometry of Venus and going into these cycles and understanding of her rhythm and path, because Anne Macy has done a phenomenal job of explaining all of it. And this book references the Venus cycles for the rest of this century, I believe, and beyond, perhaps. So know that there's great information out there. I always reference books because books are written by professionals. They are researched and they are edited, which makes them reliable, more reliable than just anything on the internet. There's, of course, great astrology websites that are verifiable and valid, but there are many that are not. So I always reference books for you to reference and check out, especially if you want to keep coming back to the information. So one thing that Anne Macy beautifully explains in her book called Venus is how Venus also has a cycle similar to the moon, where there is a new Venus and a full Venus. Okay, so there's a new Venus star point, and then there's a full Venus star point 4 years later. So there's an energy cycle here that Venus goes through when she is experiencing the new Venus energy. And of course, new meaning there's something you're meant to see, discover, revelations, something that comes up and comes forward. And then full Venus is about the revelations and the understanding or a change. So you take your understanding of a new moon and a full moon, and you can apply it to Venus star points. So going back to August 2015, it was a new Venus star point. New. Now, 4 years later, this is a full Venus star point. And the full Venus star point in Leo, by the way, I'm referencing just the Leo star points, okay, because that's the energy that we're in as I do this show live. But there are cycles of new and full Venus star points in each of the 5 astrological signs that star points happen: Aries, Gemini, Leo, Scorpio, Capricorn. So again, if you want to do a deep dive, I recommend this book. I'll put a link below this podcast to this book. So we're experiencing a full Venus star point. And the fullness the fullness of light, the fullness of what you want, the fullness of desire, the fullness of understanding. It's a fullness of creativity. You could feel full of something. But the full energy is also about a shift that needs to happen, something that needs to be worked with, and allowing that energy to guide you, allowing that energy to move you forward. I feel like there's a lot here about how Venus is teaching us about the cycles of love and how that first cycle of love is always within us. It's always within our relationship to ourselves, our understanding of ourselves, seeing ourselves as lovable, as valuable, as worthy of creating our dreams, creating the life we want. And this particular Venus star point in August 2019 is supporting all of that as you allow something else to end. Allow something to be complete. If you've been wrestling with something, if you've been holding it too close, or if you've been feeling like there is something that's no longer right for you, this could be a time when you feel those messages come through more powerfully, more forcefully, more clearly from the universe, from God, Source Spirit. So we have a very powerful energy here. And when you're aware again of these cycles in your chart and what it's been working on for you, when you're willing to go into these answers for yourself, that's when you dive into your own mastery and your own wisdom. The Venus star point highlights divine feminine power. It highlights what it means to operate from the heart, to operate with confidence, and to operate with love for self. Because then, of course, all of that permeates your aura. It changes the kinds of people that you interact with. Relationship changes happen now. An understanding of who's right for you and who's not. It could be that you see that some relationships have served their time, served their purpose, and there's new people that you will connect with after the Venus star point because of how your aura has shifted and changed into a truer place of yourself. And all of that is a reflection of how you're loving yourself more, how you're honoring yourself more, and how you're knowing who you are at a truer level. As we understand more about ourselves as energy beings, a purification happens. And this purification energy can be difficult at first because it feels like a lot of loss, change, exits, endings, completions, people leave, jobs leave, situations leave, things outside of your control are over. But what this energy does is it reminds you of who you are at the heart of your being, at the heart of your energy field. And so the purification of people who've left, the understanding that it was time or change is necessary, it's returning you to a higher truth, a higher understanding. And there's new energies that come through that fill up some of those gaps or holes. You know, nature abhors a vacuum. So anything you let go of, something new streams in. And during these Venus star points, with Venus conjunct the Sun, there is a huge, powerful energy coming through. That again, I'm feeling it as a force, and I feel that it's connected to that soul energy, the soul's force of creativity, the soul's force of knowing what you want and who you are now, and allowing that be a wonderful navigation system at this time. So this Venus star point is quite powerful, quite dynamic, quite invigorating. Again, it will depend on what planets or points it's working with in your chart, between 21 and 22 degrees of Leo. And I would not give it a big orb. I'd probably give it a 2-degree orb, because it will reference energies from 2015 and 2011, possibly even 2007 for you. But even in 2007, the Venus star point was at 24 degrees of Leo. So you can see it's just a 2-degree, 3-degree orb. So it's a very tight orb here. Focus in on what shows up this week, on what you're feeling, what you have to do, what calls to you, what energizes you. Focus on these Leo energies of confidence coming in, feeling stronger in your sense of self, feeling an awareness of your uniqueness, of your gifts, and a reminder of how loved you are. Because that's also literally at the heart of Leo, is that it operates from love. Love for self that fills up the aura and then attracts those of similar love vibration. So this can also be a great time for dating, connecting with new people, relationships, love, anything love-related can feel extra strong. Of course, with Venus and the Sun lined up, if something lines up within you, and then it can show up in the physical world. It can also be a great time for connecting with women, and women who offer you something, who support you, who give you a gift, or who give you something that supports who you are, and of course, how you can do that for others, how you can be that Venus energy for somebody else and support them and their gifts and their abilities and what they're here to offer and share. So a very loving time, and this also activates the understanding that we are divine feminine energies and divine masculine energies within. We are both. We are everything. And when we consciously work with that and we know these themes, when we know what the cycles are bringing forward, we can say yes to the opportunities or the invitations. We can say yes to what calls to us and what we're ready to manifest and focus on next. So it's a beautiful time. It's truly a beautiful time of honoring this Venus star point in your chart and looking at what shows up for you in the week ahead. Again, I'll reference this book below this podcast. And I feel like that's all I'll share today, because there's so much more on this topic, but it can actually get confusing to go too far into it. But I hope that this has given you some good things to understand and work with in your chart right now. So thank you, everybody, for joining me. I'll be back on Wednesday with another show talking about the weekly intuitive astrology and energies of the week ahead. In the meantime, I wish you a beautiful middle of August journey. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon. Take good care.